A bill seeking to allow Belizeans living in the diaspora to be able to vote in the upcoming April 10, 2019 I.C.J. referendum has been drafted. A government-mandated re-registration exercise garnered a total of 130,792 applications, with the majority being from Belizeans living in the country. So what about those living elsewhere? Well, in order for them to re-register, they need to live in Belize for a minimum of 2 months. Some interpret this as a disenfranchisement of tens of thousands of diasporans from re-registering, for the simple reason that most Belizeans living overseas cannot satisfy this requirement.
But in addition to that, we are talking Belizeans who, each of us must know an individual, a friend, be it a relative, that lives abroad. And we all know how much they value their country, how much they want to have an input in their country. And so I thought it best that we present a members bill because it is a very underutilized bill that is provided for in the standing orders.
Standing Order 83 allows any member of the House of Representatives to present a bill. The P.U.P's Air Representative for Caribbean Shores, Kareem Musa, has decided that he will be that member. Musa will need to advertise the bill on 3 issues of the Gazette, newspapers, as well as present it to the Clerk of the National Assembly. The waiting time is 3 months before the bill is tabled before Parliament. Ongoing re-registration continues, and for any Belizean wanting to take part in the I.C.J. referendum, the deadline is March 10, 2019.
If it is that the Prime Minister were to take courage of this particular bill, this could be done as early as next week. And so that eliminates the time factor and that 3-month window that we will have to wait. So what I am proposing is a second exception, but tailored specifically to deal with the registration of Belizeans living abroad who do not satisfy the 2-month requirement. And so what that entails then is that there will have to be a separate list, and their voter identification cards will have to stipulate that they are being registered under Section 5.2a. That will allow them just to vote in the referendum, not to be registered to vote in any area because they do not fall under that category. They can't vote for an area representative if they do not live in a particular area. And so it is specifically for them to be able to vote in the upcoming referendum. So come April 11th, the way that the legislation is designed is that that provision will then become spent and they will be struck off of the voter roll until they can satisfy that requirement once again that they are resident for 2 months before going to register. So it's specifically for this I.C.J. referendum vote.
And what Musa will have to do now is convince his political foes to join him, at least this once, to provide legal passage for members of the diaspora to have a say on whether or not Belize takes Guatemala's claim to the I.C.J. for final resolution.
That is why I am extending the olive branch. I know that day-to-day politics, we fight on every single issue in this country. When we go to the House of Representatives, people say we are a big circus. And so it is important that in an issue like the I.C.J. referendum, we get the input of all Belizeans. We have an inclusive approach. And that is why I think that the Prime Minister and those on the other side would be willing to consider this bill as a step in the right direction.
Reporting for News 5, Hipolito, Novelo.